This week's episode of Still Untitled is brought to you by Video Blocks. Video Blocks has a great value with an unlimited download model. Choose from a library of over 115,000 HD video clips, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, and cinemagraphs. Audio Blocks also has over 130,000 music tracks, sound effects, and loops. On average, subscribers pay less than $1 per download over the course of a year. And with their premium content, you get a great variety of time lapses, aerials, U.S. international locations, slow motion, nature shots, and more. Everything is 100% royalty free, even if the subscription is canceled. You have unrestricted usage rights on personal or commercial projects, and you keep what you download and maintain those usage rights forever. Now, Video Blocks is offering our listeners a year subscription to both Video Blocks and Audio Blocks for just $149. This is $100 discounted for our listeners only. Get your subscription today by going to videoblocks.com/stilluntitled. That's Videoblocks, videoblocks.com/stilluntitled for this exclusive offer. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hey,
guys.
let's
Hey.
not talk politics today.
I think that's a good idea.
No Politics Tuesday. We have some announcements to make, so there's good news on the
Yeah,
horizon.
there's stuff happening.
There's stuff happening.
Do you have stuff too?
I do.
Oh.
But I want to hear about your stuff.
So the Kickstarter for my company goes live, if everything goes well, later today, but if not today, then tomorrow.
That's very exciting.
Yeah, so it's for the first season of the Foo Show.
Yep.
Which is 5 episodes at least of us talking to people who make interesting things that are three-dimensional and ethereal inside their creations, which is appealing. It seems to be appealing from what people have told us. We think it's cool, but it seems like the early reaction to the preview episode we released this year was well received. And there's a wide range of things that you can do to help us make this season. We're basically just doing a pre-sale on the actual episodes, so they'll be out basically as soon as the Kickstarter closes, and we collect money from people so that we can send them codes so that the Kickstarter backers get access to the show first.
And this experience in virtual reality and also outside of virtual reality.
Well, so yeah, that's the thing that's exclusive to Kickstarter backers. So if you have a VR headset, great. That's the preferred way to do it, whether it's a Vive or a Rift. And we'll have some news about other platforms like PSVR and Google Daydream and Gear VR probably for 2017. If you don't have a VR headset yet, because you haven't shelled out $800 for a Vive, which is a lot of money, then we have a 2D client that works kind of like a video game where you can control it with a mouse and keyboard or a gamepad. And we're going to release the experimental preview, completely undocumented, programmer UI. I did a lot of the design work on the controls version, and we're releasing that as an exclusive to Kickstarter backers. And then we'll iterate. They'll get iterations as we add new things to it, and then eventually we'll release it for everybody on Steam, and probably just Steam actually for that.
That's
All right.
really cool. That's really
It's
cool.
content.
Congratulations.
It's what you left tested a year ago now to do.
Yeah. So we just so everybody knows, we had originally said when we released the preview in April, we said, hey, this is going to take a few months and we'll have more episodes in the summer. And then we spent a lot of time making the animation better, and there was a bunch of work to be done.
Always a bunch of work to be done.
Well, and then like I had to figure out how to pay for it. And we initially were going to go the venture capital route because that seemed to be the thing to do in San Francisco if you're starting a new technology company. And when I talked to a bunch of venture capitalists, it seemed like not the right fit for where we were at the time. We might take venture capital money in the future, but as a small company with 3 people and no revenue, it seemed smarter to take a small amount of money from friends and family and some angel investors.
That is really smart.
And build revenue.
Yeah.
And then we looked at we talked to a bunch of advertisers and stuff like that, but the stuff that they wanted to make it worth it for them in VR right now wasn't compatible with what I was looking for. So we're going to hope that you guys will help us fund this, because if you don't, then we won't do it. So, yeah.
Help get
Fund
Will
it. So
health
where do
insurance.
people go? What do
So they
look
can
for?
go to, let's say foovr.com/Kickstarter.
FOO.
FOOVR.com/Kickstarter. And that will probably take you where you want to go. If it doesn't, then I will have it up by the time the podcast is done.
Brilliant.
And if you don't see it today, check tomorrow.
Yeah, and you can always follow me on Twitter, and we'll have lots of stuff about the Kickstarter there, including like videos. We have we've announced one episode, which is the Brendan Chung quadrilateral cowboy episode.
Yep.
We have some more to come, and it's not all video game stuff. There's some cool science stuff coming. We have, I think, 4 video game episodes and 1 science episode booked for this first season. So
Great.
That's fabulous.
Cool.
Dude,
You know, by making your own thing, you're joining a bigger community.
Which community is that, Norm?
It's one that Adam's going to be talking about very soon.
What? Wait, what? That was a nice segue.
Norm is the segue master. He's like the Jedi.
when he's ready
segues.
for it,
Norman Chan, ultimate segue.
I can pivot.
You can pivot.
You know, since we also podcasted last week we talked about you putting on a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
So we didn't talk about the actual results of that.
God. So I
lent you this costume.
Yeah, you let me your Baymax, one of your Baymax costumes.
An
I think.
inflatable Baymax costume. Which is it's a holy grail of mine. Mine's not perfect, but
Yeah.
it works.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And
You had
wore
put it on, Adam, at
What's
some
that?
point? You had put on this costume?
I did. I put it on in the shop, and then I immediately took it off because I expected it. It's giant, and I expected to be punctured on anything within seconds.
Like it is. So just to be. So what it is it's a big nylon bag that's shaped like Baymax when it's inflated. There's a couple of fans on the back end that are surprisingly quiet. Actually, I was pleasantly surprised.
Very impressive. The inflatable costumes have reached a fairly high art form at this point.
And inflatables, like I have a giant inflatable Jabba the Hutt. The fan runs nonstop.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you don't, the fan stops and it starts deflating. So you're inside that as it runs. Now, is there a second skin on the inside, or is it just are you just exposed?
I told him to get a white lycra jumpsuit.
All right.
So I got a full
Because this is
full
not-
body
this is
white
not complete
unitard,
Right, this is not opaque,
hood,
right?
fingers, the whole thing.
Because the last thing I want to
mean,
see is a kid running up to
that's-
Baymax and realizing there's someone wearing nothing
So hold on,
inside.
let me tell you
go
how
ahead.
it goes.
Tell us how it goes.
So I told my daughter was like, "Hey, are you going to dress up for Halloween, Dad?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure. I'll put a costume on." And she was like, "I want you to go as Baymax." And I said,
Whoa.
wait, what?
Big
Come on, that
ass.
is a big. You're 3. You got to build up to that over a few. So okay, so I came in here. I mentioned it casually, and you laughed and were like, "Hey, I have a Baymax costume. You can totally use." I think it happened on the podcast.
Yeah.
So I borrowed that from you. And I tried it on at home just to see what the wear was like.
Yeah.
And I had the same situation. I'm standing in the middle of my living room in my underwear inside the Baymax costume.
Wow.
And-
okay, so I've seen photos of the Baymax costume. It's not completely transparent. So at what distance do you start to realize there is a person inside this, possibly wearing not many clothes?
So I think that probably I didn't test this with like a black jumpsuit underneath, but I think that you can see the shadow of the person. Like
Yeah.
if there's a light source behind them, you see the shadow of them through it.
Okay.
But other than that, you don't see a whole lot.
The costume could be more opaque. It would be nicer if it was opaque, and it's got a little a vinyl window on the chest that the operator can see through, and it's just about at your eye height. So Baymax is like 7.5 feet.
Yeah.
You're way shorter than I am then, because that thing it was like perfect length to see crotches. From where
maybe
I was.
down.
that's so. You know what? I didn't take a lot of stock of where it was. I just knew that I could see through it.
So
So
I told her I was going to dress up, and then it started pouring rain on Halloween day. So instead of walking around the neighborhood, which would have been safe and manageable for me in the giant costume,
Which awesome.
we went to the mall,
Right.
which was I was like, I don't think I can wear the costume at the mall. She said, "Dad, you said you'd wear the costume." I was like, "Okay, I got to wear the costume."
So did you bring it to the mall and then put it on?
I went to the mall with the unitard on underneath a pair of like gym shorts and a t-shirt, and then I got inside the costume, took the gym shorts and the t-shirt off
And is there like
in the parking lot of the mall.
is there a hole that you can like then you can throw other?
There's a zipper hole in the back that you
zipper
get in and
hole.
out
Got
of. So
it.
I handed a pair of shorts out, and then I just started. I inflated it, which took just a minute.
Yeah,
Right.
it's very
And-
fast.
And I started walking.
But so there's natural cooling built in.
It was-
inflatable.
Oh, it's very comfortable.
It got a little bit warm, but
Did it really?
nothing
Yeah.
like I was red and sweaty at the end. I'll give you pictures.
the air is circulating nonstop though.
The air is circulating, but you're still breathing, and there's not a whole lot of exhaust. So
Right, okay.
like it got warm, and more than anything, the hardest part of the whole thing is the arms are inflatable, and his
to the
shoulders are
side.
about 3 times wider than I am.
They're
right?
way
Yeah.
they're way out of
So in order to move the arms and like hug, people came up. Like, let me say, I So I'm gonna go back. We walked into the mall, and getting through the door of the mall was a little bit of a challenge because he's too wide.
Yeah.
So I had to turn sideways, and like you have to do the walk right, so you have to kind of shoulder bump through.
Right.
And you, as soon as I hit the door of the mall, I was just mobbed by people.
Wow, they thought you were an attraction.
I mean, people were coming up and they were saying I smelled like warm pancakes and giving big hugs, and small children were punching him because he's soft.
Right, yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
You know, in January in Sketchfest, Scott Adsit is usually a regular at Sketchfest. He
yeah.
did the voice of Baymax.
yeah.
You could get him to record you some phrases for next year.
Yeah.
If he's willing. I don't know if he's contractually allowed.
he might not be allowed to do. I could just pull him off the Blu-ray too.
Sure.
But yeah, so walking around like children, it was the hardest thing about the whole thing is that people keep coming up and they want hugs and pictures and stuff,
Yeah.
and you have to keep moving.
Right.
And then eventually Gina and my daughter and our friends Gary and Leah and their daughter were just like, we're gonna leave you here because you're
We're
too
abandoning
slow.
you to the love of the public.
Right. So be here and be adored. We'll be back in like 20 minutes.
You and I should go out as Totoro and Baymax.
I will totally do that.
People would lose their minds.
Yeah.
The world's tallest. So a couple of things I learned is that like getting the fit of the costume's hard. There's straps inside that hold it on, but they're too short for me.
Yeah. Oh,
So
okay.
like I was like
That's how you
I was
say
like an
centered.
Urkel,
Yeah.
an
Centered
Urkel-
inside. Right.
Like my feet were hanging out the bottom in a way that
Yeah.
probably wasn't intended, but that's
Sure.
fine. A pair of white sneakers.
At some point,
nobody minded.
you should just burst through. Like,
oh, chest
be
burster.
burned.
No, just a little blade up through the center and step out. Baymax gave birth to a ginger.
What you do is you wear Frank's creepy Lego guy inside, and you just nightmare hands people.
Is how to scar children for life.
Or make viral internet videos.
Oh my god, that's terrible. So yeah, it like I had a fanny pack inside with the unitard, and you couldn't see through the mask of the unitard at all, and then see through the window. So anytime I had to move, I had to pull the mask
Oh,
off.
wait.
Oh, wow.
Why did you have to wear a mask inside?
Because like the little kids can see through the clear window, and if they look inside and they see a person there, then they're like, and you completely ruin it for them.
So instead they see
So
like a white, faceless...
They see
like,
nothing because the white faceless unitard guy and the background of the
it
suit
blends in.
kind
Wear
of blend
one of
in.
those
yeah.
really,
It's an
really like
optical
decaying
illusion.
zombie masks inside,
be
like the realistic
horrible.
silicone
Yeah.
ones.
Cost, you gotta take it to another level.
With like, you know, a knife through your cheeks or something horrifying.
That's really mean.
Baymax's soul.
These kids were
This is what
so
he feels
excited
like
to
on
be
the
made.
inside.
I have no interest in scarring children. It's just in my nature to think of the darkest thing you could do with
Yeah,
any given,
of course.
any given task.
So it was really fun. I totally. You always said walking around as Chewbacca is one of the most fun things that you do, and I totally I appreciate it in a way that I did not before.
It's really like an antidepressant.
Well, and it's lovely to just be in a place where people are excited about meeting someone who's not you.
Right.
Like that, I'm sure that doesn't happen to you very
Well, no,
like,
and you're also giving them this really unique experience they didn't ever expect to
Yeah.
get. I remember the first time I saw a no-face costume. It really, like I jumped back because it was very upsetting to see 7 feet tall. And this was just like a minor store-bought one. And so, yeah, to me, that there's something lovely about the reaction people have to something they didn't know they would get to do.
It was funny when I was a little kid. When I was a really little kid, I was like 6 or 7 probably. It would have been 1982 or 83. The local Kmart at Halloween had mascot people come, and they had like a Darth Vader and a Batman, Adam West Batman, of course,
Right, yeah.
and a Spider-Man and some other like people. A lot of people wearing spandex, but like the fact that somebody had a real enough looking Darth Vader costume that as an 8-year-old I saw it and was like, oh, I'm too scared to get my picture taken with Darth Vader, Mom. I remember, like it all came rushing back. As I was
Years and
standing
years
there
ago in
the
New
Baymax
York,
costume.
I briefly dated this lovely woman named Suzanne, whose ex-boyfriend. I don't know why I had to say her. Why I had to say her name, but I remember her fondly.
Her ex-boyfriend, John Staples from Columbus Circle.
No, her
Apartment
ex-boyfriend.
32B.
Her ex-boyfriend had a small business doing appearances as RoboCop, and he had a RoboCop costume in a suitcase. And I tried like hell to find out I tried to meet him. I tried to get her to introduce us. I wanted to see this. And these still show up from time to time. I don't know who made this thing, but it was like an appearance RoboCop costume.
But it was all packaged in a suitcase.
Yeah.
You unpack.
Like, it's your traveling.
Wow.
I'm a traveling salesman. What do you sell? Oh, RoboCop.
Adam, you've heard of Joey's story of his costuming days when he was younger. His Power Ranger story.
No.
Oh, you didn't know this?
You know, part of me wants to let him tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway for the sake of people listening out there. When he was a teenager, he and his buddies, as their part-time job, would go to birthday parties as the Power Rangers. Now, all his buddies were guys, and so they all had to draw straws before every birthday to
Who
be
would be the Pink Power
Ranger.
It's always Joey.
And
Was it always Joey? Was Amy Jo Johnson?
Joey was Amy Jo Johnson.
Amy
The closest
Joey
name.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Oh
Closest
my
name.
God.
And
Oh
speaking
my
of No
God.
Face, did you see that photo on Halloween, the little girl in Japan who dressed up as No Face?
No.
Really?
Oh, this is the best thing. So,
Okay.
it's a sequence of images, and if you search No Face costume little girl Halloween, you'll find it. So it's a little girl. She's No Face. It's the most adorable No Face because
It feels really, that feels right too.
yeah.
Oh my
But the best
God.
part, here's the best part, is the follow-up picture, and then here's like the inspiration of perfect drawing
Yeah.
of the girls in her class and the kids in her class
out, seeing
freaking out
Kobayashi.
and scared.
Oh, that's so, oh my goodness.
You had people scared at No Face, right?
I had them giving me coins back because it's bad luck to take gold from No Face. Yeah, that was the most intense part.
Yeah.
So Norm gave me a segue
Yeah, let's
earlier.
Inception back up.
Okay.
We Inception back up. Norm gave me a segue, and I was slightly distracted. But I have an announcement, which is just went live this morning, announced by the White House. The announcement is a Nation of Makers. It is a nonprofit that we just released the press release today. A nonprofit that hopes to provide a structure by which makerspaces all over the country can communicate with each other and share ideas, material, playbooks, inspiration, and energy.
Oh, man, that is so cool.
Yeah. So members of the board currently include Stephanie Santoso, former head of making for the White House, Harley Dubois, co-founder of Burning Man, Pamela Jennings, professor of innovation and entrepreneurship at Winston-Salem, and yours truly. I'm one of the first founding board members. And we've released video. We're pushing it through social today. It's really, really exciting. This has been in the works for months because makerspaces are appearing all over the country, but most of them are doing it on their own. And there is no sort of central database or way for them to share information and to find out what works. And also, this is really, there's a lot of makerspaces in high-end neighborhoods and private schools, and really there's also a lot opening in compromised neighborhoods, in marginalized communities that really need this stuff. And this is a way for them to all share their ideas.
Did I told you about the librarians at Maker Faire, right?
No.
When I was at World Maker Faire a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, I was sitting talking to people, and I talked to 2 or 3 different librarians from different places with all different kind of scales of space available, and they were looking at old facilities that were no longer being used, being repurposed as maker spaces, and they wanted advice on that kind of stuff.
It's
so,
exactly right.
So how
And,
can those librarians get involved, and where can they go?
it's a nationofmakers.org. We had a problem with one of the two, or .com, and I can't remember which one it is right now.
You know
I'm
what?
an
There'll be
idiot.
a link in the
There'll
description.
be a link in
Yeah.
the description.
You can go scroll down and click it.
Yeah, and this is the start of something really, really beautiful because I've said this repeatedly, but we on Tested are absolutely have drunk the
.org.
Kool-Aid.org. That's nationofmakers.org. It has never been a better time to be a maker, and we are trying just to keep making it better, to keeping those lines of communication open, keep building those communities of people who want to build the weirdest possible costume, let their freak flag fly, make things to improve their homes, their lives, their neighbors, their friends, each other, strangers, field researchers, dinner. I get so excited about this. And it's just getting started today, and the future is very, very bright. I don't have a wrap up, but I'm very excited.
That's really, I mean, that's awesome. So it's nationofmakers.org.
Yeah.
And there'll be more to come.
More to come in the future, and even more projects that I've got running in the background that will be announced over the coming months. all with this same goal, which is to equalize opportunities for everybody, to build entrepreneurship and empower kids to be able to reach out and change the world.
So when you say build entrepreneurship, you mean that there'll be like structures or at least methodology in place to help people take things that they make for fun and turn that into sustainable businesses? Hopefully?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, there's a wonderful nonprofit I've done a lot of fundraising for here in San Francisco that Tracy Desjardins introduced me to, called La Cocina. La Cocina specifically provides there's a long tradition in various immigrant communities of providing food for each other as a small side business. La Cocina provides kitchen space for those side businesses to be turned into actual brick and mortar businesses. Okay. So they not only provide kitchen space for a woman to come in and make her tamales, but they also provide her information on how to get business loans, how to get leases, transactional law, food code, all of that stuff. They've started something like 70 brick and mortar businesses over the last few years. This is exactly the kind of thing we're talking about for Nation of Makers and for sharing these opportunities. I love the One Wheel, and we've talked about the One Wheel. You know, I love them. They're friends of mine. But I also love that they're hand-built in San Jose. I love Shinola. I love that Shinola's watches are hand-assembled and in Detroit by people from Detroit.
And the point of pride of that community.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is the kind of thing, there are businesses like this popping up all over the country, and we need to promote more of them and help kids understand that this is something that you can totally do, and this is sustainable. There are ways to make it sustainable, and we can help teach.
I mean, those were some of my favorite stories that we found at Tested. The tailor stitches and even the coffee places, like all the people in the last 10 years that have taken a business that, you know, sends people to Central America and Africa to find coffee growers, bring them. It's all it's amazing.
And also to help get the word out about what you're doing, and find sponsors and find partners and find people to come and attend and use the spaces. And this isn't like, I keep on punching up about the kids, but I mean, that's because I specifically believe that, you know, we really need to focus on the 10-year-olds, the 11-year-olds, the grade school kids. That's where I want to get them as young as possible to come and learn how to make. But maker spaces are great for everybody. Maker spaces, hacker spaces, places like Tech Shop, even, you know, absolutely. There are so many businesses and so many ideas and so many inventions being started from these spaces, and we need to just keep increasing it.
And I think it's important to acknowledge that even though the initiative is called Nation of Makers, it's global, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It's not just for people in the United States. Like the lessons can be applied everywhere, and it is in a global movement.
And I was in Toronto this weekend.
Yeah.
Right, I was in Toronto this weekend. We haven't talked about this.
That was the point.
What's that?
I was trying to get you there.
Another perfect segue ruined.
Wow, he did it. That's incredible.
And it was incepted. It was literally, I couldn't.
That's incredible. He like tipped a switch in my brain, and I didn't even know it got tipped. Yeah. I was in Toronto this weekend. I did an appearance and ended up emceeing Chris Hadfield's Generator, which was a lovely variety show performance, about 2.5 hours long, at Massey Hall in Toronto on Saturday night. We had pretty much a full house of really one of the best crowds I've performed for in a long time. Just loving, really smart, really engaged. Was fantastic. A couple people were there who were on your
and the Generator Arctic trip. Yeah, Tom Scott and I believe Vivian Goussois, photographer from New York and YouTuber. They were there. I don't know about the other presenters. Can you tell us about some of the presentations or some?
We had this wonderful autistic comedian who was really brilliant. He was hilarious. We had an appearance from the Lucky Iron Fish Company, a local entrepreneur who built a lucky iron fish he sells for dirt cheap, and you throw it in your pot and you boil your stew, and it gives you all your daily dose of iron.
Amazing story. About changing the world with a simple idea.
Right.
And yeah, I think I forget their name.
So this is in Thailand, I believe.
Yes.
Where anemia is a problem.
Yeah.
And the way you normally deal with it is by giving out vitamin supplements. But this can be expensive, and just the amount of adoption is taciturn.
So you literally put a piece of metal in the food?
We don't have much of a problem with anemia. A lot of the reason is because many people cook in cast iron pots, and you get iron in your food just from that. So this entrepreneur came up with this cast iron fish this big, and really,
it's a cultural thing,
right?
Oh yeah.
He looked for a thing that was lucky and symbolized food. You threw it in the pot, and in 10 minutes, 10 minutes of boiling in the pot gave you 70% of your day's needs of iron.
Huh.
And it eliminated anemia.
That's amazing.
Like in the space they put it in, bang, it's gone. They've got several other projects going.
I mean, that's right up there with the here's a dime, mosquito nets that cost a dime.
Right.
Like in terms of something that costs so little and takes so little effort to change people's lives in a really positive way. That's really
exactly.
good.
I get really excited about stuff like that. And Amanda Palmer was there, Neil Gaiman. They did they sang and did some spoken word. Leonard Cohen, Chris Hadfield, of course. He talked about the trip to the Arctic, gave a beautiful, beautiful talk, and he loved your talk, by the way. He really gave it high praise. It was super inspiring night. And I ended up hanging out at the end of the night with some wonderful makers from a place called Steam Labs. Steam Labs? Shh. Will you hand me my coat right there? I got to get this right. I am terrible about remembering things. I am absolutely abysmal about it. But this was a makerspace in Toronto. And yes, I got it right. Steam Labs.
There you go.
Andy Forrest and his wife and all of the people from Steam Labs. We ended up. This is just the way. This is like I found my people. So we're sharing pictures of sorted drawers and tool cabinets around the table.
Sounds about right.
It might be time to consult a medical professional about this obsession with sorting and storing.
There was one guy who was sitting to my left, this Asian guy, and I said I'd sorted my drawers with foam core, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to make the case for foam core." And apparently there was this whole sort of battle
Trying to make the case for foam core.
And he was wondering
materials
about
champion.
But and so they didn't know that they had the same problem with foam core and hot glue that a lot of people do, which is if you use a hot glue gun and you try and edge glue foam core, the glue is so hot it boils and bubbles out of the edge of the foam core. But if you use a lower temperature hot glue gun, either that Orange 3M1 that Frank Ippolito is a big fan of, or there's some dual temperature or adjustable temperature ones if you're willing to spend like $50 or $60 or more, then you can lower the temperature. And hot glue and foam core were a match made in heaven. I love those things.
It's like welding for
Yeah.
foam core.
Exactly. Yeah. And in a drawer where you don't have a lot of dynamic load on the foam core, it'll last forever. That was the case I was making for them. And that was this. I was up until like 2 in the morning in Toronto. I had to get up at 5 a.m. to catch a
At that point, you just
7
just
a.m.
roll through.
I meditated for 40 minutes and then slept for 90.
Yeah.
And that got me.
Do you sleep on planes?
I sleep on planes, yeah.
Oh, that must be nice.
I do. And, oh, hey, by the way, Adam's Book Club, I decided to read one of the Jack Reacher novels.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did.
Who writes those?
Lee Childs.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I read 2. I believe I read the first one and the most recent one. I read Killing Floor, which I think is an early Jack Reacher, and then I just read Never Look Back, which is the book the new movie is based upon.
I haven't watched that movie. Are either of those movies good?
I like the first one a lot.
The first one is very, very enjoyable. I'm not going to say it's brilliant.
I mean, you know what you're getting into when you're getting into a Tom Cruise, but it's clever, and it's also written by and directed by Christopher McQuarrie.
So
the screenplay.
Let me tell you that there's the fight scenes in the first. I haven't seen the new Jack Reacher movie, but the fight scenes in the first one are among the best fight scenes ever filmed. There, I said it.
Like up there with John Wick.
I will show you after this podcast. If you search Tom Cruise fight scene Jack Reacher, you'll get this video, which is Tom Cruise as Jack Reacher fighting 5 guys and just making mincemeat out of them.
And it's not about just the exact choreography or the way it was blocked, but like the build up.
The build up is really good, and you
can follow them. I assume.
Yeah, and it's not like jump cuts. Everything is really, really, really clear and perfectly done. I mean,
I'll give it a watch.
Really, really wonderful. So Lee Childs as an author, I guarantee you he's completely inspired by Raymond Chandler. Jack Reacher is, I've heard that not all the novels are first person No. Sorry. I guess the two I read are third person. I think some of them, I think he changes the
Some of them are from first
some of them
person.
might be first person.
But they're pulpy.
They're definitely pulpy. They're definitely pulpy. And he writes like Chandler, from what I understand. He doesn't know where the novel's going when he starts it. So as Reacher figures out the plot, so is Lee Childs, which is an amazing way to write as far as I'm concerned. But the character of Reacher is very much like Marlowe. He has a surprisingly wide range of awareness, of understanding, of empathy for people, yet he will
Right before he rips their throat out.
there's a lot of that. I mean, the
Unflappable.
yeah, very unflappable and very in the present all the time. And a lovely character to read. I enjoyed both books immensely. Very fast reads. I read the second one. I bought the second one at Chicago O'Hare Airport, and I was done before I reached SFO.
I love that's like finish the book on the plane.
I left it in the seat pocket for the next
Wow.
person.
I read
Awesome.
I guess Pattern Recognition, maybe the
Yep.
first of the new
William Gibson?
the Gibson books. And I read that on a flight from Atlanta to Hawaii one time, and was just like, this is literally the best way I've ever spent an airplane ride.
It feels so much better than just blearily like waiting for the Wi-Fi to get faster.
It doesn't. It
No,
never
it never
does.
gets
It's
faster.
always bad. It's never worth $16.
That's a spectrum, right? That's both ends.
It is.
Completely reading a book or trying to get faster Wi-Fi.
Can I ask, has anyone, so I always, because it's a business expense, I always pay for the quote unquote faster hotel internet.
Yeah.
But I want to know if anyone has done a study comparing the speeds. In fact, I should do this because I could easily do it. Comparing the speed of the cheap and the quote unquote fast Wi-Fi in hotels and compare the speed difference.
So
the
It's
real
more,
speed
it's
difference
more like
between the two.
guaranteed speeds.
I have spent a lot of time in hotels in
Yes.
the last year, and I have spent a lot of time working in hotels with last year, which when I'm transferring gigabyte files
Yeah.
back and forth with people in other places, I need fast internet. The things I have learned are to avoid Hilton properties at all costs.
Really?
Yeah, because they turned on a metered internet system sometime in the last year that rolled out over 2014, 2015, and 2016. And the free internet they give everyone is sub 1999 DSL.
Right.
Like
Not worth the hot cookie.
It is literally
worth
it
it.
is definitely not worth the fuck the hot cookie, man. It is slower than my phone in every single place that I've used it. So
Wow.
like flipping Wi-Fi off on my phone and hitting speed test gives me a better result than using the free Wi-Fi they give you.
Amazing.
Once you've signed up for the free Wi-Fi, you can't upgrade without going through a bunch of hoops and calling a phone number.
Oh, wow.
So-
Because it's tied to your hotel
Yeah.
room number.
because it's tied to your room number and your gold passport or whatever
Yeah.
their thing is.
Sure.
The best part is
yeah.
that even if you do pay for their premium, it's still only about like 2002 DSL. You get maybe 1.5
Hilton.
megabits. This is Hilton. I don't stay in Hilton properties because their internet is so shitty anymore.
Wow.
Like-
Paris Hilton, listen up.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's
There's
got
a
some
Jimmy
pull.
Fallon joke in there somewhere.
It's a slow those Snapchats.
But yeah, so the main thing that you usually get is an external IP address. So if you have to do like a VPN into your
Right.
corporate network or something, then you can. It's rarely about speed. I stay in the little boutiques in New York now because they always have good internet.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's my takeaway.
There you
Okay,
go.
so
yeah.
hell with Hilton.
Hyatt's are okay. It seems
Hyatt.
like
Yeah.
I don't know.
Best
Weston's
Westerns?
nice. Only in Europe and Canada. You know about that, right?
No.
Best Western in Europe and Canada is a really nice hotel chain.
I've stayed in some excellent Best Westerns here in California.
And in
Yeah,
California,
up and
there
down
are,
the coast, they're great.
there are
in
accessories to
Crow's-
IHOPs.
in Crow's Landing in the Central Valley. That's a fantastic Best Western. San Luis Obispo. There's a Best Western that is the best Western.
They
It's
almost-
right on the Pacific.
They almost always let you bring dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
The
one
one
of the
in-
reasons I've stayed at several.
The one in Whistler has the best wine cellar I have ever seen in my life in the restaurant. So, you know.
Oh, I
you
suppose
have
I'm
that
staying
going
at
for us.
Hilton this weekend.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, you're going down to
yeah, there's Designer Con this weekend.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm driving down on Friday. Don't tell them I'm bringing my dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
Are you going to ask forgiveness, not permission? Or are you going to sneak
Forgiveness.
her in?
oh,
Forgiveness.
just put him in a little.
Yeah, she's
Yeah,
small
she'll
now.
go in a bag.
She's
doesn't
so
bark.
small.
Can we talk about the Duranis?
What are the Duranis?
Oh, yes.
so-
We're going to end the podcast with a challenge.
This was now. I'm sorry. This is just for people watching on YouTube.
So if
on
you're listening,
video.
go watch
just
it.
Chop it off, chop it off.
Yeah. So these two items, they're made of leather with suede padded humps on them. They are bilaterally symmetrical. They are mirror images
they're
of
mirror
each other.
images.
And these were hanging on my dental lamp, and Will said, "What are those?" And I said, "I have no idea." And he said, "Why do you have them?" And I said, "Because I have no idea what they are." This is it. I love objects that were clearly built, clearly used, but I can't figure out what they were for. Now, yes, you could make a joke that they look like weird saggy
They look
boobs.
like the granny. It's a,
But
for granny.
Stop it
Okay,
right now.
sorry.
Stop it. They're probably some sort of protective padding, but I don't know where on your body they would strap to. So
It's not when you're horseback riding. It's what gives
Well,
you the pop up for your legs.
So,
for your
Norm
pants.
will take some pictures. We'll also
Yes.
put up a little post about these and find out what they are.
Like the just so everybody knows, the leather, if you ride horses, feel like the knee roll leather on like an English saddle.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
It's not what helps poops up the side of your pants.
Yeah,
You got to get a pair of high boots and tuck them in real good. Norm.
So let me just say
Wow.
that when people guess what these are, please none of the jokes. None
I've
of
already
those
made all of
jokes.
them.
Will's
It's-
just
I
made
just-
them, and
they're
I just-
horrible.
Yeah, I just don't care to read them.
I regret everything.
I don't. I've already made them all, and so have we
Right,
here.
right.
So
I mean, unless
you
that's
go.
what they actually are. In which case, feel free. If you have sources, so we'll
Ye
take
olde-
citations, please.
Ye oldie leather boob joke.
Right. Okay, I think that's as good a place as any to wrap this one up. My Kickstarter is live right now. You can go to foovr.com/Kickstarter. It'll take you there. We would love your support. There are options ranging from like $1 if you want to get a dope paper. So we made a Pepakura version of my avatar.
Oh, nice.
So it's you can print it out at home. If you pay us $1, we'll send you the file.
Oh my God, I love
You can
little
print it
kids
out.
can dress up as Will's avatar
You can make
for
this
Halloween.
big, yeah. You could blow it up if you want to get crazy.
Wow. I have one of those already as well, so I'm okay.
It's just sitting in
It's
your bedroom
still
looking at
seeing-
you.
Yeah.
It's not good, Norm.
Good morning, Norm.
The fun thing is James Hanneman was helping me do the Pepakura on that.
Yeah.
And he said, you can just cut these out with your laser cutter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I had never
Right.
considered that before. And he said, and if you put double-sided tape on all the tabs before you do the cut, it's just self-assembles. You just take it out, cut it, fold it, and stick them all together.
You could probably use different materials too. And,
Yeah.
and just
Wow.
have
So
scoring lines
do
and
it out
cut
of like
lines.
bright paper. And,
So while the Kickstarter is going, I think I'm gonna, if I can sneak in and borrow
Please.
your laser, we'll do
I'm
a
gonna
live
ask you
build.
to do one of my head too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally do that. So
would
we
be
have your.
Oh yeah, we have
avatar.
our. Oh, I want
Yeah.
one too.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll do a live stream.
Oh, and nationofmakers.org went live today. More to come.
And if
It's-
you're
yeah.
and if you're in Pasadena this weekend, please come by. Say hi.
What's the name of What's the name of the event?
Designer Con.
And are you going to be selling stuff there?
There will be friends of ours who will be selling stuff. We'll have a booth.
Cool.
Yeah.
We have a booth.
We'll have a booth.
That's awesome. See you guys next week. Oh,
Bye, guys.
Hey, what's up with Dark Forest? Are we still? I get a lot of questions on Twitter.
Sure.
Are we still working on it?
Let's
Oh,
lock,
Have you
Forest.
finished it?
I
I've
finished
finished
it.
Dark Forest.
let's say the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
Tuesday after Thanksgiving, we'll talk
no
about Dark
problem.
Forest, and then it's time to start reading the third one.
Yeah, I've had enough of a buffer because it's been like a month and a half. Okay. See you
right.
guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.